Welcome to Slim Nation's One-on-One podcast with conversations featuring the host, James Slim Overton.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Slim Nation One-on-Ones podcast. I'm James Slim Overton here, and I'm here with some special guests this morning, and they are sisters, and they're from the Truxtun neighborhood, and it's quite appropriate. We're talking to some sisters from the Truxtun neighborhood for this month. We're celebrating 105 years of the community of Truxtun, the historic Truxtun. But I have these ladies here this morning, and we're gonna talk about a few things. But I wanted to bring them on because all our neighborhoods, when we've grown up, had paper boys, and these ladies were paper girls, and I don't know, maybe other neighborhoods had paper girls. I'm sure they did, but growing up, I don't remember seeing any paper girls except in our neighborhood. And hold on, it looks like one of the
There she go.
Yes.
okay, she's one of the sisters is coming in late, and want to apologize for us starting late, but we're here. We always have technical difficulties, but we have the Bracy sisters, and we have Orlena Bracy Lewis and Catherine Bracy and Anita Bracy, and she's streaming on now, so hopefully she'll appear in a little bit. But welcome, ladies. How you doing? Well, my neighbors, my former neighbors. How you doing this morning?
We're doing fine, thank you.
Yes, and thank you so much for agreeing to come on and join us here this morning. And we wanted to talk to you all about our neighborhood, growing up in our neighborhood, and we had people on here before. We talked about Truxtun, how it was in Truxtun. You had the average families had at least 5 people in the family, 5 or more.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up. I was like only child, but I used to go around to different people's houses, and it was always fun to me. Now people would tell me, "I wish I was like you," and I would say, "I wish I was like y'all," because it seemed like y'all always had fun. I always tried to figure out, and I said, "Now, how did they work out the bathroom issues?" Especially with school time, when
Yes.
just about everybody was in school, and you had to work that out and schedule that. And they said somehow it worked out. Now, how
No,
many was in the Bracy family?
Whoo, it was rough.
it was 5 of us kids and the 2 adults, and I wasn't.
Yeah,
I still went out and we work out the bathroom issue.
yeah,
It was rough.
and then
I
it
would
was
get up early. I would
yeah.
get up early because I had to because of my daddy.
Hmm.
He
Yeah, 'cause
always
he was all the
occupied the
bathroom.
bathroom.
Yeah, thank God for our parents, and most of the families out in Truxtun, it was 2-parent families. If it
Yep.
wasn't a 2-parent family, it was a widow situation or
Yeah.
divorce, which was kind of rare because
Yeah.
back in the day, a lot of the parents grew up not believing in divorce. You just stuck it out. But but tell me how you all got started as being paper girls, because I remember Orlena used to come bring the journaling guide, which was for the people that don't know, which was the black journal or with the black newspaper
Exactly.
in our
Exactly.
neighborhoods, and then we had the Ledger Star, Virginia Pilot, you know, uh, which Lewis, your brother, he delivered those papers, the
That's
journaling
correct.
guide and Ledger Star,
Yep.
through Truxtun and Douglas Park, he tells me. And
Mm-hmm.
but how did you all get started? Because it was kind of unusual for girls to have paper routes, and probably Captain, it probably started with you. Tell us how you get started. I mean, what was it? Something, because sometimes our parents, encouraged or volunteered us to uh,
I think we
to
were told
do
for real,
something.
for real. Cause
Yeah.
Mr. Leonard Towns was the distributor in our neighborhood. We were 2 doors from him.
Oh, okay.
And I know he used to carry the papers, and I think his children started to carry them. Catherine was the first one that got added on in our family. When she stopped doing the route, it ended up being Nita and myself.
So was it he encouraged you, or you saw the guys taking the paper, or
I bet my
you know,
mama did something behind the scene because I don't know. All I know is we started taking papers. It wasn't no dream of mine.
yeah.
I started because Lewis and Dee Dee had started it.
Hmm.
And I can tell you, and I started, but then when I found out it was money involved, I said, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, it was 15 cents. I remember that now. It was 15 cents, and we got 5 cents of the 15 cents.
Yeah, I
And
always wondered how that worked out, because not only it's different now, not only did you, I think the Journal and Guide now you get it through the mail, but not only did you have to deliver the papers, you also had to come back later, a few days later, or however it worked, a week later, and collect that
exactly,
money. So
exactly.
unless you collected, that's how you got paid, and you
Well,
just mentioned.
sometimes our customers was good. They paid us on time,
Hmm.
Yeah, we
and
got paid. Yeah.
yeah, for my customers, I was paid on time. I had a few that was always late, but
Hmm.
they would always catch up. But 15 cents back there, now that I think of it, was a lot of money back then.
Oh yeah,
That was
we had candy ladies all through the neighborhood. So
Yes, we sure did. And I would take my money, save it up just to get the 15-cent ice cream from High's
High's
I
ice
got
cream
you. So
store.
so yeah, so because you had to be kind of disciplined to do that too, because now I think the Journal and Guide, it wasn't. Did you? It was like an afternoon delivery, or was it an early morning? What? Because I think maybe probably Lewis had that early morning.
Yes.
With you had to get up. It might be still dark and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we did.
And
We did.
and
We did.
Candyman, which might not agree with that.
No, he let us do it.
But no, we didn't have to do the early morning. We was in the evening. We would go in the evening.
Yeah, and I said Candyman in reference to their
I
daddy. That was
I
that was
did.
his
Yeah,
Yes.
nickname in
yeah.
the neighborhood. And
But
another thing,
I would get up some mornings and get it out early because I want the TV set.
oh,
That's how I get to
okay.
watch television.
And sometimes you had to, to earn your own way or certain
E-
things you want because the families provided the necessities, but those little extra things you
We had
might
to do
have to
it
get yourself.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing about it now, I said we were entrepreneurs back then, didn't know it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I know sometimes, probably it was sometimes it came up, because you're in the neighborhood. And also you mentioned that people paid you on time because everybody really knew you in the
Yeah.
neighborhood. So, you know, I guess sometimes some people say, I want her going back talking about me that I didn't
Exactly.
pay for my
Exactly.
paper. But most of it was because we knew who you were. And it
Hmm.
was just, it was just a thing, if grown people were trying to support you, what would it look like? We had to lead, they had to lead by example and make
Well,
sure they paid you on time.
Back in
and
those
not only
days.
that, if they did pay us on time, we would tell our daddy.
Yeah. Then the daddy would come around collecting.
Exactly.
That was his voice. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't have any problems with my customers paying when I took over the route because I had a couple of them that paid me monthly, but
Hmm.
most of them paid me, that day when I could, gave them the paper, they gave me my money.
Yeah.
So because we had to go and take the money, to Mr. Towns because he was the one that had to pay the general guide people because,
Exactly. Yeah.
so
Exactly.
so
So,
we did that. We had to take out his money on the top, and then we got the change, and I went to the gas station and
yeah.
got stuff.
So I was going to ask, I mentioned you had to be disciplined.
Yes.
And, sometimes you're in your own neighborhood and you go out delivering the paper, and then those days you had to collect, which was
Hmm.
with you all was in the afternoon, and you might walk by and other kids in the neighborhood playing, or doing something, skipping rope or whatever you were doing, was it ever, sometimes you say, oh man, you know, I'm gonna miss that because I gotta go collect this paper or I gotta deliver these papers. You might be missing something going on in the neighborhood. I know those times came up, but because our parents, once you committed to something, our parents made you stick with it.
You
Yep.
definitely had to stick with it.
Yep.
Couldn't
Had to
just
stick
say I
with it.
quit.
Nope. There was nothing like quitting.
Mm.
Couldn't do
Nope.
it. We were dedicated. We stuck to the mission of delivering the paper, and we had our own little bank that we would put our money in, and that was the encouragement to keep on working.
That's how you became rich, right, Nita? Because Nita used to have a little man she would save her money in.
Yeah,
You keep talking
Nita
to
is the
us,
other
Anita.
sister that she's trying to get on now. But anyway, it was three of them, and in the order of it was Catherine and Orlena, and then Nita.
I did
Nita and I did it together.
Oh, that's right. You said y'all did it together, and y'all
And Nita and I, we split up
the
the route.
neighborhood,
She
right?
did one side of the street. I did the other side of the street.
Yeah.
So how did your peers take it? The kids in the neighborhood, because like I said, it was kind of unusual for the girls in the neighborhood to be taking the paper, and of course, it was much safer then.
Yes, it was.
One thing you're in your own
Yes.
neighborhood,
Yes.
and
It was.
everybody knew everybody, which would be quite different now if you did it because our neighborhoods now. I still live in the neighborhood, and you have people that next door to you that don't even speak, but you knew everybody, so you felt quite safe.
Yeah, yeah,
Doing,
I felt really safe
hmm
in our neighborhood
Yeah.
because I used to go to believe it or not, I used to go to Douglas Park. I used to go to Truxtun, and sometimes we went to Cavalier Manor. My route extended so far as Cavalier Manor, and then I'm like, how in the world did I get to Cavalier Manor?
Well, the Journal and Guide was a different kind of paper because it was mostly in the black neighborhoods. So,
Yeah,
and you had to sort of extend to some of the other communities sometimes. But it
yes,
was important, of course, we didn't have the internet and Google and all that then. So
nope,
what
sure
y'all
did.
were doing was very important in the neighborhood because that's how we got our news. That's how we
That's
kept up with what
true.
was going on. And especially the Journal and Guide being the black paper, what you didn't see in the regular paper,
That's true.
with certain things you could see in the Journal and Guide.
You know how I did my history? I used to do my history report
Mm-hmm.
from the Journal and Guide.
From the Journal and Guide.
From the
There's a lot
Journal
of
Guide,
history
and that's the
within there.
first time I had a history report on how on one of the actresses and actors, and I'm like, and I looked through all the papers and all the other papers I couldn't find nothing on Dorothy Dandridge.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to go through the Journal and Guide one day, and I kept that thing up until I went into the military about Dorothy Dandridge. And that was my history report on Dorothy Dandridge, the first when we did Black History.
Right. You definitely wouldn't have found it any place else but there
No place
between the
else.
Journal and Guide and maybe Ebony or Jet.
Yeah.
And,
Not even in the encyclopedias. What
right.
Oh no,
they
I'm quite
had
sure won't in
then.
there. I never thought about when I was taking the papers, the importance of the papers. I just, like I said, I did it for the little change I got. And because somewhere behind closed doors, somebody worked it out that we're going to be doing this because I never went down to Mr. Towns and say, hey, I want to be a paper girl.
Yeah.
All I know is I was became when we took over Catherine's route. That's how I ended up doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I felt safe though, because like you said, we were carrying money,
Yeah.
and nobody, and I didn't have fear of walking through the neighborhood, and it was just something. And the people were nice, the customers were nice, and my favorite time of year was Christmas though, because we got Christmas bonuses.
Yes, exactly.
I used to love Christmas time.
Yes.
And sometimes neighbors were, friendly around that time. Will give you a little something extra around Christmas time.
Exactly.
They did. And I love that. I love
that.
Especially when I was in high school. And I did it through high school, all the way through high school. I took papers all the way through high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still trying to get Nita. She popped up a little
Yeah,
bit.
I got her on the phone. I don't know if she's on the phone or not. Nita on the phone? You're not answering, so she might not be up here. Can't believe she up here.
Yeah, but she was
she's still trying to get on.
Minutes ago.
Yeah, she's still trying to get on through there, but
Okay, she said she's on the phone. We can hear you,
okay.
Phyllis. Did you want to chime in and say anything about the route?
Yeah, I chime in because I don't recall how we got involved in it either. I believe our parents made us do something that we didn't want to do, but I don't know. You know how parents was back in that day. You would get out here and do something.
Yeah, we're listening.
I believe that's how they did it.
I believe that's what I said. I think Mama and them signed it up in the background, and we just started doing it. We don't know. I told them.
Mr. Leonard and Miss Queenie and Daddy got together. Y'all girls can do something.
Well, we're listening to Anita Bracy and Anita, you probably got caught, by being the youngest, now Catherine started it all. See, I'm gonna start something between the sisters now. Catherine started it all, and then once she started it, it just went down the line, and you were the last in line. And it was just like already, you and Orlena, had to share that thing,
Hey, Jane, we're down here from that.
We didn't even have a choice in the matter.
We had no choice and we had no voice.
Yeah.
I like that, Nita. I like that.
Yeah, that was.
See, but the thing is, I wish those days were back because kids, like everybody know that kids today, they don't have no respect. They don't have no sense of loyalty, no sense of
responsibility.
Responsibility. They don't have the concept of what saving money is all about. And that's where basically I got about. Because my sister said I don't know where I have that thing. I had a little man that I put my money in.
Yeah.
And I rarely spent my money.
Sure didn't. She saved her money, that little man.
Still
good. She spent our money, and she saved her money, that little man.
Exactly. Definitely will spend our money.
Yeah. You spend everybody else's money. That's
right. Let me ask you all something. How do you think that and we talked about you had to be disciplined, you had to, and your parents wouldn't let you quit once you started something, which was probably something that showed up later on in life with you. How do you think having that paper route helped you later on in life? Catherine, you said you went into the military, so it probably helped you a little bit going into the military because you had to be disciplined. So how do you think it really helped you later on? And Orlena, you said you didn't think about how significant it was giving out that important paper that served information to the community. But did you realize later that it prepared you for some things and subconsciously, you didn't think about it, but you say, you know what, having that paper route really helped me out, later in life, because, talk about how you think that helped you.
Well, I think it helped me in the sense of communicating with people, and having a chance to stay committed to something.
Yeah, because you seem like you might have been kind of shy back there. I don't know.
I was kind of shy back then, but it gave me an opportunity to communicate with other people and understand. Well, I didn't save much of my money. I won't like Nita because I went to the gas station and spent mine. I didn't save like Nita did, but it gave me a sense of I'm buying stuff on my own. It might have not been nothing but cake and candy, but I was using my own money to do it. And it helped me to be an entrepreneur in the sense, even I'm thinking about how I used to grow tomatoes in my backyard and sell them to my daddy so he could use them on his sandwiches. So it helped me to understand that you got to make money. I don't think I think I would still take a paper with that, but I added more money to my budget by selling my daddy tomatoes. I ain't selling to nobody else. I had my own grocery stand.
So it helped you money wise. Catherine, how you feel like it helped you later on as time went on?
Well, as time went on, as I think about it now, it helped me military wise to save money, and also I look at it as I looked at our community and I wanted better.
Mhm.
And I knew money was and still now the only way to do it. And then I taught it to my children. Now I just realized now I took my kids out there to be entrepreneurs as well.
Mm-hmm.
So military, it helped me to save. It helped me to benefit. It helped me to a stepping stone in life to get to do better things.
Yeah. Now, Nita, are you still online?
I'm still online, and I'm still.
Nita, I want to ask you, Nita, especially you, because you must have, when you were delivering, you must have been reading that paper too, because later in life, your take on politics and things like that, you're very outspoken when it comes down to those subjects and everything like. That's why I said you must have been reading while you delivering that paper. So, how do you think it really served you later in your life having that paper out?
Well, actually, I've been politically active since I was 9.
Oh, okay.
I don't necessarily attribute it to my carrying the papers, but maybe subliminally it did help in some way. But the thing about it, I think I've been always disciplined. I've always been disciplined, carrying the paper, saving money,
exercising,
of course. That too. If you want to say that, I've been exercising since I'm 18. So hello, still 3 times a week. About to do it today, so we get off this podcast. But the thing is, but let me before I even go more into that.
Go ahead.
I think we should. I hope you send this to the owners of the Journal Guide, Brenda Andrews. I believe she still owns it. They need to recognize us, those of us who took the paper, and especially those of us who were females. For the whole the show.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up to her, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do that, because there's probably a lot of females all over the United States that deliver papers, but you very seldom hear about it.
I appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate you recognizing that, and I appreciate you thinking about the fact that there was females who actually carried this paper.
Yeah.
And I used to go ahead.
Trailblazers. We were trailblazers.
True. Because I used to be embarrassed when people saw me. As a child, I was embarrassed in the beginning because I did get joked out. You a paper girl? Girls don't take paper. That's what my peers did to me, some of the peers, So I got joked out in school about it because, girls don't take no paper. I said, well, I do. I take the Journal Guide, So I never, I never read the Journal Guide when I was carrying that. I read it after I got older because I continued to get them. And then I realized how important. I didn't really pay attention to it when I was carrying the paper, but as an adult, I saw the importance of it. So, and I used to be proud. I used to carry these papers.
Yeah. Well, the Journal Guide, and the Journal Guide was a big thing, especially in the Black communities.
Yes,
because
it was. Yes, it was.
That news the regular paper might have had, and even before y'all were doing it a long time, the history shows that the regular paper used to have a colored news section in there.
Yes, it did.
And it was just a special section, that covered, whatever that might have happened, but it didn't go into detail like the Journal Guide did. There'd be wedding announcements.
Right.
If you had a party that was big enough, that was noteworthy, it would be in the Journal Guide. So it was also news, but the society page, I think they had in the Journal Guide.
Yeah.
If you were a debutante at I.C. Norcom or one of the schools, you would be featured in the Journal Guide, and you wouldn't see that in the regular paper. So
that's true.
Everybody in Portsmouth that received the paper just knew what was going on in people's families, and I would say probably a good percentage of the Black households subscribed to the Journal Guide.
Exactly.
It was something that you saw in everybody's house. It was just like mandatory. You know,
That's exactly right.
You know,
Everybody's house.
When Nita was an adult and did her first book signing, it was in the journal guide. You remember that, Nita?
Yeah.
She was going to say something earlier too.
yeah. Go ahead, Nita.
No, I would just want to say, I would piggyback. Oh, I attribute it to our parents, and especially our daddy, because he didn't treat his daughters like girls. He treated us, and I always tell people all the time, my daddy treated us like people. Because Candyman took us to the games, to the ball game, because Daddy was a umpire, referee, coach. Daddy took us to the barber shop.
Yep.
So he didn't treat us like girls.
So you can just gossip.
And I appreciate that, and that's what I love about him. And that's what I feel folks today. I feel for these people who don't have fathers, especially fathers like we had, because
we were everywhere.
I even went outside of a Boy Scout meeting. I won't end the meeting, but he was a Boy Scout person, but I was on the outside and I could see what was going on.
Exactly. We
were. Community was important then. And do you all remember when Lewis and I, we were at Norcom together. We graduated in 72 together. But during those years, too, we had this little high school fraternity called the Imperials. And we would meet at each other's houses. And I remember coming to your house and meeting there. And your dad was sitting in our meetings, you know. So, you know, and I said, well, what can we say, you know? But he sat in there because he was so proud that we were doing something like that. You know, we were organized, and one of our things was trying to do community service. But you know, it kind of kept us out of trouble. And because I remember joking, saying, well, what we gonna do? We in his house, we can't tell him to leave the room, you know. But he sat there, he didn't interfere, but you could look over there and see the pride in his face, looking at us.
I remember one time he said, "Y'all gotta have a parliamentarian," and that's I remember. Y'all gotta have a parliamentarian.
Yeah. Lewis. I had an interview with Lewis, and he mentioned that because he gave us advice. He said, "Y'all gotta have, you know, because you gotta have order, you know." So he did give us that advice. But that was our community, you know. And as we celebrating 105 years, you know, I'll mention the Chester too, that it should be brought up somewhere in there that we did have paper girls that was delivering the journaling guide, which was
and I think I delivered to their house. I think I delivered to Chester's house too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
because I delivered to your house. I know I would deliver to your house.
I know because he was on the side of the street that I had, so I delivered to the house too.
That's how I remember Orlena, you know, bringing the paper and delivering, you know, because you know, my daddy read like, you know, everything he get his hands on, and encouraged me to read too. So you know, it made me appreciate books. And so Nita, I'm gonna get a chance to bring you up here because I've done interviews with authors, and I almost forgot about you, an author too. So we'll talk later about getting you up here and talking about the books you have written. But anyway, talk about. Go ahead. Yes, indeed, we will be in touch with you. Talk about how did you fit, you know, that in with your school lessons? Because the school was important, I'm sure, to Candyman and your mother, and just like all the parents that we had, you know, and we'll get into the IC Norcom Craddock thing too, you know, because look, I think most of you girls went to Craddock, was it?
She did. Oh yeah, they did. I went 1 year, but they went to Craddock. They were.
I went to 1 year. Now I can remember I was in the band.
Yeah, you did go to Norcom.
I was forced to go to Craddock. I wanted to go to Norcom with my brothers and sisters.
Yeah. So, Catherine, how did you end up at Craddock, you know, that early on? Because I guess maybe when you were going, and I know when we were there, when I was there, integration hadn't, you know, I think when integration of our high school started around maybe 66 or something like that, 65, 66. So it had to be a little different when you were there.
Well, it was. I was at Craddock and then I went on and transferred. When it started integration, I wanted to transfer to Craddock because I wanted to see what the other side was doing.
Yeah. Well, I actually went my first year. I went to Wilson because they had freedom of choice, and all coming up, I'd gone to Truxtun, Douglas Park. I went to William E. Ward's, went out to Capitol Manor to go to William E. Ward's. So I went to all black schools leading up to Norfolk. So I wanted to see what it was like when I had the opportunity to go to Wilson. Now, I went that 1 year, and then I did my other 3 at Norfolk, which was the best decision I made. But
yes, it was.
But I got a chance to see how Wilson was, and it was different. But I felt more at home at Norfolk because the teachers cared. At Wilson, the teachers weren't ready for us.
They weren't ready for us when we went to Craddock. But Catherine and Didi, they went to Craddock. And Didi was a track star, so he was probably more accepted at Craddock because he made a name for them because he ran track. But they went because I think that was the first year they were trying to start that integration stuff, and they were like pioneers in that area.
Yeah,
because that was when they were first. The year I went was like the last year where the state said that all this whole integration stuff had to be done in the year that I went, and I went protesting, and those teachers were not ready for us at all.
Wait a minute. When I went, let me tell you what, Lane, before you came, when I was over to Craddock, the thing was they were curious as to who we were. We when we first got there, we had friends. I mean, the Caucasian reached out to us when I was, when I went there. They weren't. Some of them were ready, and some of them weren't ready.
What about the teachers? Because they were older and pretty much set in their ways.
Yeah, some of the teachers were definitely set in their ways, but then we had some of them that was empathetic towards us too. So I didn't face a whole lot of big problems back then because I guess because I went there with my position I was in, that I went there like, you're gonna teach me.
Yeah.
Well, when I went in pain because I was thrown out in my senior year. So I went in pain, and I went in protest. So I wasn't a happy camper when I went. So I went with a rebellious attitude, and I tried to make the teachers have a hard life, But then when one of those teachers said to me, I'll never forget Miss Hawkins, she said to me, well, we prepared for y'all. We knew we were going to have trouble with you all. So I figured it. I said, okay, I know how I'm going to stop this. I'm going to study, and I'm going to make an A in this woman's class because she think we dummies. That's what it is. She think we're dumb. So that after that, I stopped protesting and started proving to her that we not dummies coming from North. And so I ended up, being on the honor roll again because I was when I left Norcom. But a lot of those teachers really, she was the main one. All of them weren't evil, but that one was.
Daddy, I don't mean to cut you off, but that was true when I was there too, because I was forced to go to Craddock. And I say to this day, I ain't never want to go to Craddock. I wanted to go to Norfolk with my brothers and sisters.
It was honor.
My parents made me go to Craddock. And those teachers some of them was all right, but some of them, they were still racist.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it was.
The English teacher was.
But wait a minute. Okay, y'all, let me get my story in. Can I get my story in, please? Let me get my story in.
Those houses won't know better than anybody else.
Exactly.
They weren't. They really weren't.
Over there, this is what I experienced.
Truxtun was constructed for the black shipyard workers and cried up for the white shipyard workers. But all the houses were the same prices. So it wasn't no different, but it just still the white supremacist mindset that they think they were so much better than black folks. And that would never change. That's just the reality of the world.
That's the reality of the world.
What we're dealing with today.
I had a band. I was in a band there. I was in a band when I was there. Okay, I had a great band teacher there. and I ran track there. See, that's why they like me, because I could run track.
Oh yeah.
I figured that was the real reason, because we won track. We won for them.
And that's why I said they like Dee Dee and Catherine, because Dee Dee ran track.
When you can be a prophet of center for somebody.
But we didn't know who being a prophet then.
Hey, you could be welcome on the front porch, but you ain't gonna be coming in out.
You know what? We had a lot of band.
I like that.
Band friends. We had a lot of Caucasian band friends back then.
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in here and say I want to get y'all to speak one at a time, because we can't hear you when you're all talking at the same time. And I know how it is as sisters when you're sharing the house like that. You know, everybody wants to have a voice at the same time. So this is quite normal. This is quite normal what's going on now. But let me ask this: as you're talking about, especially you, Catherine, the time you were at that. And you said you were kind of demanding that they were going to, and Orlena said this too, that they were going to teach you, because during that time we were kind of discovering our blackness. Then we always were proud of who we were, but then we had this movement during the late '60s and early '70s that we were told to be proud of being black. I'm black and I'm proud and everything like that. So how did that, that gave you the strength to endure whatever you might be facing? Because I'm sure there were some periods where maybe sometime the N-word might have slipped out to somebody, or if that didn't happen, maybe somebody just outright showed themselves.
When it did in the hallway, I remember a time my brother and I were walking down the hallway when we first got there, and it slipped out. There was a fight in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And Dee Dee had a fight, and then we all jumped in it. But then when the people came out in the classroom, it dispersed. It's like nobody wanted to get in trouble. That included the white people that started it. They didn't want to be in trouble, but they all ended up being friends later. We all ended up being friends later. They didn't want to go. They didn't want to get sent home. We didn't want to get sent home.
And that kind of, you don't encourage fighting, but that kind of set the tone to say, hey, look, this is something that we're not going to tolerate.
Exactly. We're not going to tolerate you beating on us. And they definitely didn't want them beating on them. But we had now they didn't know how to take us at this first dance that they had. It was a sock hop. And we went to the sock hop. What stopped the sock hop was remember the dog, that dance called the dog?
Yeah. Yes.
They didn't know how to take that. That stopped the soccer.
Yeah, the dog was something the dog and the alligator, you can probably equate that to twerking today. That was kind of it was kind of a risque dance.
Exactly.
I mean, just listen to the dog. What do you expect? It's not going to be like a waltz.
I know, but
I don't think you do those at sock hops.
But Dee broke out with it.
I know he did.
He broke out with it because he could dance real good then.
Yeah, he could dance.
So that stopped the dance, but they still had the one later on.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the teachers, I was telling my mom when I got home, and my dad too, I said, you know what? They have books there that we didn't have at Norcom. They had typewriters there that we didn't have at Norcom.
Right. They had things. I noticed that too.
They had that school had things that we didn't have. I learned to play tennis at Craddock.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that at Norcom. So I learned the different cultures and the things there. That's the reason why I said, I wanted to go to see what they had that we didn't have.
And that's why
you took advantage of that.
And I sure did.
That's why Overton, that when I learned that we could have gone back to Norcom, we just had to enroll in the program, which is what they should have set us down and let us do before we left.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that.
When I learned, Honey Williams was the one that mentioned it to me. And when I learned about it, I went home and told my mama I could go back to Norcom. All I got to do is enroll in the program. You're going to stay at Craddock. I have really, really, really still be hurt by those words. I got to stay there. And because like I told you yesterday, when I went back and looked at the Craddock yearbook, the Norcom 73 yearbook, I cried because I said I should have been there. in 73. I should not have had to go to other school. They had to be a rebel. We were tearing out. We were at the PAP rallies. We were cheering for Norco. We would do our Norco cheers, and we would sit in the crowd out cheerleaders down. We were so bad because we went there with a rebellious heart. We just finished. Look, we just finished the walkout. We just had to. Well, of course, my mama made me go to school during the walkout, but we had 3 months of striking, not going to school. I walked out with them, and my mama came and picked me up and took me. I was living with my sister-in-law then. But my mama came over there, picked me up, and took me back to school, and she took me every day, made sure I went too. But I wanted to be out there on the, back there in the boycott. My mama wouldn't let me be in the boycott, but I was with them, looking out the window because we didn't go to class. I was looking out the windows, supporting them, But I tell you,
Orlena, I'm gonna get back to you about that very subject, and I want to ask Anita something. And before I do that, I see your brother is commenting, and he says all braces talk a lot, so he said you must excuse us. So, and I have that same issue when and I joke with Lewis when he's on our show. He comes on my other show quite a bit, and we're talking politics. And sometimes I have to jump in and say, hey, Lewis, it's 5 other people on here.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Anyway, I want to go to Nita, and she was saying that she really didn't want to go to Craddock. And Nita, you mentioned that you always been an activist at age 9, and people that know you know how involved or how opinionated you are about the situations or things that are going on in our country today. So did you carry that to Craddock? When you were at Craddock, did you speak up and talk about, because like I said, during the 70s or something, it was black and proud and excuse me. So how did you carry yourself when you were at Craddock, knowing you like you were, didn't hold back? How were you?
Well, just let me say this first. I still didn't like to go to Craddock. I don't have any love for that school. I'm gonna just be real because I didn't want to go. I wanted to go to Norco with my brothers and sisters, and so what I did, they shot. You can't. You ever try to contain a lion? I mean, you cannot force me to do something that I'm not going to do. That's number one. Because my dad is, and I really appreciate our parents, because I did one of the officials in charge, I called them, because they're going to make me pledge
to the flag.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
And if you read, I read the words. And I refuse to do it. So I get sent to, he's gonna send me to the office. So okay. And my dad said I didn't have to. So they could try to make me go to lunch. I didn't like y'all food. So why would I have to go to lunch? So you know what? I went to the library. That's why I read. That's why I'm well read to this day. My dad said I didn't have to go to lunch. If I don't want to eat your lunch. So I went to there and when I did book reports, I always did, book reports and ain't gonna But guess what? I got A's on all of my book reports.
You got book reports on what? I didn't understand you because you laughed.
What you
say? You said you did book reports on what? I didn't hear you because you started laughing.
I did book reports on stuff they were like prostitution. I did books on. Book report on prostitution because I wanted to know about their lifestyle, and I did another book report on what was this? Another controversy. I did a lot of controversial stuff. I couldn't remember what, but guess what? I got A's on all my reports.
Yeah, and that's I'm well researched. Anita, that's why I asked you, because I knew I kind of knew.
Now.
That's why that's why I asked you, because I kind of knew that that was going to be your position while you were there. And if you think about it, it kind of helped you, because you said instead of going to lunch, you went and read, and it increased your knowledge. And then later on in life, here you are writing books and very opinionated about what's going on in the world as well as
Yep,
our country.
very.
So.
Yes.
So actually, it was kind of an advantage. Now, that same thing might have happened at Norcom. I'm sure it would have, because the teachers encouraged that.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yeah.
sometimes you have to look at some things, some situations that you've been put in, and look at what probably happened that might have been to your advantage, even though you didn't like being there.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
true.
That made me, what she was saying made me think about when my husband was at Craddock. He had that same English teacher that I had. He did a book report on the Harlem Renaissance. And the thing is, she graded him down, telling him that she don't think he did it. And he did do it because he was a good writer. But because I said she probably didn't even know about the Harlem Renaissance because she was such a racist.
Yeah.
I got that too. When I was at Carter, didn't think I wrote something. I did a play. And then my English teacher said, "Did you do?" Yes, I did. Because I did a play. It was a conversation between Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois. So I did a play on that. And so, but guess what? I got an A on it. But she didn't think I, but guess what? This was a black teacher who did this to me.
Oh, wow. Well, his was a white teacher that did it to him.
Yeah. So. Did you actually write? Yes, I did.
You should have kept that play.
It's somewhere in my notes. I don't know where it is. Somewhere, but yeah.
Well, Orlena,
I still got it. It's somewhere in my papers because I kept all my papers there.
yeah, I hope you find it. I like to see that. I like to see that and see what you were like back then, because I know how you are now.
Yeah.
But let me go back to Orlena. Let me go back to you.
I'm the same person.
Yeah. Let me go back to you, Orlena, and as we wind down, you were talking about your Narcom experience, and what was and how you felt all those years, really being at Narcom 3 years, and then having to spend your senior year, which is our best year, coming out of high school, at a school that you didn't want to be there. But years later, and you kind of spearheaded this years later, that members of your class, this class of 73, that had to go to Craddock, had the opportunity to be honored by IC Narcom by being given just like a graduation ceremony, and being recognized as Greyhounds. So
Yes,
how was that for you?
honorary. We became alumni.
Became alumni. Yeah.
Yes.
So how was that for you and the rest of your classmates? Because I know over the years, and it was like a 40-year span, before that happened.
Yeah.
And I know, talking to members of your class, because I knew a lot of them, because I came out in 72 and they were there in 70. Y'all were juniors when I was a senior. And many of them had that burning thing in their heart.
They had that burning desire. Yes, they did.
Even after all those years, it just never went away. And that's just that's the way something happens to you when you're at Narcom, something spiritual or whatever you want to call it. So how was that? Did it sort of sell that for you? When that happened, when you had the chance to have that program and walk across the Narcom stage, and be considered an alum of Narcom now. How was that?
I'm gonna tell you how I felt that night, and what I said to people that night that I talked to. I said, this means more to me than both of my degrees from NSU and from ODU. I said, this means I got 2 masters from ODU and 2 undergrads from Norfolk State. I said, but this honorary, being able to walk across this stage at Narcom, meant more to me than any of that. It had it filled me with such a great sense of pride, and it brought healing. Because I thought when my daughter went to Norcom, that would bring the healing that I had. Because I said at least my daughter, but it didn't. I still had, but it really brought healing to my heart that I finally got a chance to be recognized as a true Norcom person, and it healed my heart. I still hurt when I think about what they did and how they did it. And the worst part about it, when I read the paper, the article about it, the only reason they did that because the other community refused to come to Norcom, so they decided to change the Norcom so they could get them in there, so they could have these training programs and throw us out. So that still bothers me because I say because they could have just set us down and let the senior class stay. They could have let us enroll in the program. They could have set us down while we was out there while they was out there boycotting, and I was supporting them through the window. They could have let us enroll in the program. They could have set us down.
Getting the feedback from
my phone is repeating what I'm saying. I felt
That's
like
okay.
they could
It
have
needs to be said twice.
off. I felt like they could have done that to make it right, but they didn't. Some people got to go back because guess what? Those who played that were athletes, they invited them back to play.
Right.
They got to go back because I know that's how some of them went back. Some of the band members went back. So you can't take somebody from a place like Norcom and expect them to be able to lay down and take it, and it's supposed to be okay because it was.
It was not okay.
We had our first meeting about our graduation, which was 46 years later. It was amazing to me to hear other people had gone through that same pain for all those years. I was thinking I was just something wrong with my brain, and I just wouldn't let it go. But if anybody mentioned it to me, if they would say that C word, I would get angry, and I was saved and everything, and I would get angry if you bring up the that I went to the C word school.
Yeah, because we would joke you a lot because even my wife and they had to go to Craddock against what she wanted because she was waiting to go to Norcom, and by living in Truxtun herself, by the time she was ready to go to Norcom, they zoned all of Truxtun to Craddock. So y'all talk about like Catherine, you went by choice at first. And then everybody else was kind of you had no choice to go. But I'm glad you got that opportunity. And as you talked about, because our class in '72, we kind of fought what was happening. We had a really big boycott our year, and a lot of us, if we had stayed out there, might not have graduated. And you talked about our parents. I think my dad let me boycott for one day. But he said, now you're a senior, and you know how it was back in the day, you getting up to the age, your parents, it was like birds. They were ready to kick you out the nest. So you're a senior, but I think in the long run that boycott helped. But anyway, I really appreciate you ladies, and I think it's important that we started out bringing up the history of the paper girls, and I hope that it's mentioned during this month's 105-year ceremonies or program that weekend that Chester has planned. And I'm sure there'll be an opportunity at one of the events, especially the event on Saturday that's going to be at the Truxtun Field, the old Truxtun Field. I'll make sure I mention to him that it's mentioned that we had girls and most of. Do y'all remember any other girls in the neighborhood? Or I think it was probably kind of unique to your family. It was three girls in your family, and all three of y'all did the same thing. Do you remember any?
Gloria Towns took papers as well.
She okay.
She
That's the only one I know.
One of the Gloria Towns. I don't know whether KK may have, but I do know Gloria
did.
Gloria
I don't think they did.
Because Gloria did it along at the same time we did, and Gloria may have taken over Cage Route. I gotta ask Kay about that, but I do know Gloria Towns was also a paper girl. Yeah,
It
Oh,
during
wasn't
the
many.
second
It
time.
wasn't many of us. That's for sure.
I don't
okay.
know of
Well,
anybody else.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
I'll look into that and find out who the others that may have been. But I know you all the three main ones that I could
Yeah,
recall.
we
And
started it off.
yeah, so so it should be mentioned. Is why I said I wanted to do this. So hopefully, a lot of other people will be aware now that we did have paper girls in our neighborhood, and you all did a good job. And you did it until you didn't have to do it because until you got out of the house because. Like I said, our parents wouldn't let us quit once we committed to something, which
Mm-mm.
was a lesson in itself. So,
Yeah,
I
because
was
so
a high school senior still taking newspaper, but it was once a week on Fridays.
yeah,
yeah,
yes, yeah. And
yeah,
and and I guess Lewis watching. I think he had to take his every morning, right?
Yeah,
yep,
every
yeah. He
morning.
did every
Yeah,
morning. Daddy helped him out on sometime when in driving the car, and so he could
Yeah.
throw the newspaper. Yeah.
yeah. And I got to, and I'm gonna let you. I want you, each one of you, to make a last comment. But I have to tell this story about Bracy Lewis, and remember the old station wagon he had.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, yes.
He had an old station wagon. He would pick up all of us in the neighborhood that were part of that the high school fraternity we had, and we were all loaded in that station wagon, and it would be putting along. We go to the gas station, be seven of us in the car. We stop at the gas station, get 25 cents worth of gas.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And what was
yep.
so bad? Well, it was a gallon, 25 cents, but it sounds crazy now. But what was so bad back then? Service station, the guy would run out there. They check your tires, look
Yes,
under the
they
hood,
did. Yes,
wash
they
your
did.
windows,
Yep.
and then come to the window and we say, "Give us 25 cents."
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was funny because Noah would do that every day. Get work. I think the most he got was 50 cent worth.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly.
He
Exactly.
wasn't spending all that paper money on gas.
No, he was not.
But it was funny, out of all seven of us, all we had was 25 cents. But maybe
Y'all
we
should have been
needed
taking
paper routes.
papers.
We
You
needed
should have
paper
been taking
routes too.
papers.
Yeah. But anyway, ladies, starting with you, Catherine, I'm gonna go down the line, and if you have a last comment you want to make before we go off, and hopefully we get a chance to do this again. I'm definitely going to do something with Anita because she's an author, and I want to have a one-on-one with her, and we'll make sure we have her on camera next time. But we're going to talk about her books and some of the things, some of her feelings about what's going on in this Trump era.
Woo.
Yeah.
Oh
I,
wow.
so
You
When
I,
better
the
I'll
heat
be
was bad.
prepared.
Woo.
I'll be prepared to just sit back and listen.
Yes,
But
yes.
go ahead, Catherine.
Well, I just want to say thank you again for having us on your show today. But thank you for bringing back a lot of memories that I had really had forgotten about, but you brought it back up, and I thank God for it because of my grandkids will get to hear this later on.
Yeah.
And grandkids, they don't even know our experience that we had back then to get us to this day, to where
Yeah,
we
we
are
need to
now.
pass that on. We need to
Yeah,
pass those
yeah.
experiences on.
Pass on the past to the future. But thanks again, and God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. God bless you. Alina?
Well, I also want to thank you because when you first mentioned it to me last year that you wanted to do this, I was still going through that, embarrassment for being a paper girl. And I was like, I didn't even understand the value of it until you
Yes.
made it seem valuable
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
us. And I thought about that. And then I started thinking about our experiences and all. So I said, it was a good experience. So I don't have to be embarrassed about this. So I appreciate you for understanding the importance of us at that time doing
Yes.
something so like I said, I just was doing it for the get money for the candy and cake, uh, but I'm just saying. But I think I appreciate you for seeing it as something valuable to our
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
thought about it as far as being a value to the community. So thank you for
Yes.
helping me to value my life even more and not think it was something that was, girls don't do this. So I appreciate that so very much.
Yeah, I always had respect because I remember, going to the door, and when you came to collect or when you brought the paper, and I knew it was unique then. I said, "A paper girl," So and I always respected you for that. Never
Mhm.
never wanted to joke you for that, and you know, and all these years, you know, growing up, I never saw many paper girls, you know, except for the experience I had with you all doing that. And so that's why I said we're gonna do a show. It took us a while to get here, Alina, but it was gonna happen sooner or later. So I appreciate
Mhm.
you. Is Nita still on the line?
Nita? Yeah, she's still there.
Okay, because your brother just said, I guess talking about politics, he said Nina is worse than I am. And
Yes.
he said, be warned, be
Yes.
warned. Now,
Yes.
see, I'm familiar with her because you know we're friends on Facebook, and for
Oh,
years I used to see her comments, you know, with all the things that was going on. So I know how she is, and
yeah.
you know, a lot of those things I agree with, you know, and so. But anyway, any last comments from you, Nita?
Well, yeah, I want to thank you. I'm co-signing with my sisters. I want to thank you for doing this. But I want to. How did you think about doing this? That's my question to you. What made you think about doing a subject on paper girls?
Well, since I've been doing these like podcasts, and we have another one called Portsmouth Coffee Talk, where we have other hosts, and one of the hosts is Leah Stitt, so another Truxtun girl,
Oh,
and we do different subjects, and then I have this one-on-ones that I do, and you know, my goal is to share information and with local authors we have, and just share information that a lot of people may not know about, and it's one of my passions. So, and just like I told Orlena, I always remembered her as a paper girl, and that's always been with me. So, you know, as I think about things I wanted to do, stories I want to share, you know, that came up. You know, like she said, I talked to her last year. I said, you know, I want to do something with you, you know, because you know it was unique. So yeah, that's where it all comes from with me, just sharing information and information about people and things that a lot of people don't know about. You know, our African heritage. That's the way they used to teach. They
that
used
is
to they used
true.
to pass those stories down to their
That's true.
to their generations, and that's how the word got out. So this is sort of like a part of that, you know. And just like Catherine said, she wanted her grandkids to know things, and this is
Okay.
a form of passing that information down. And right now we're live on Facebook and YouTube. So this is out. It's going to be out there on YouTube for people to see.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate it, and once again, uh, technology is not my friend, but the phone is. Because I got y'all there on Facebook Live, but the thing I had it on my tablet that I always kept spinning, but anyway, just life. But this whole thing, don't let them bring you down.
That's right.
That's what
Right.
I do, because I was gonna, long as my phone is paid, shoot, because and I appreciate it, because I appreciate all of this. And my final thing, people, don't let technology get you there. It's always one or two ways to skin a cat, and sometimes it's 300 ways to skin it. But as long as the cat gets skinned, that's how you gotta do it.
That is true. That is true. That's true.
Indeed, ladies, and I thank you again, and I thank everybody for watching the Slim Nation One-on-Ones podcast. And we'll see you next time. And again, we appreciate all of you and the Bracy family, because, like I said, I have Lewis on our other show quite often, and
Yeah.
and we've done I think 2 one-on-ones. So
Yeah.
look for
Yeah.
me to come back with you. I might want to do something with each one of you individually. So.
Okay.
You never know. So, all right. Take care,
Okay.
ladies, and we'll
Y'all
see
do
you
the
next
same. All
time.
right. Bye
All
bye,
right.
y'all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.
All
And,
right, y'all take
and,
care.
and please remember to be involved and be informed, and make sure you get out there and vote, because it's up
Oh,
to
yes.
you. You know,
Yes.
voting has consequences, and if you
Yeah.
don't vote, you'll see those consequences. You see right now we got somebody running that has, I don't know how many indictments, but he's running for
Oh
president.
my God.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Make sure you get out.
Don't even start on that
Don't
one.
even start. That's a whole different subject.
Yeah,
I know.
I live in Georgia, so you know what the deal is right now.
Yes, indeed. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Take care. We'll see you. Take care, everybody.
Right.
Thanks for watching. And Lewis, we'll see you again, brother. Take care.
All right. See you later.
Woke up grand rising in the neighborhood, realizing that we have some common problems. So I decided to create a platform where we could reason together, and maybe we can solve them. And oh, might not happen overnight. We've been in this fight for quite some time now, but we won't back down. This is our time. It's time for us to sit down at the table and turn this chaos into something stable. For love, one on one, we will not accept defeat, not on our land, not in our streets. Getting it done, reaching out to save the youth, letting them know the truth. Slim Nation is where good conversations dwell, positive affirmations where make a strong nation as we spread the love. Slim Nation is where